Welcome to Speak English Vibe, the podcast where we break down powerful ways to master English, build confidence, and connect with the world. Hosted by two passionate language enthusiasts from the USA, meet Emily Carter, an English coach and bookworm with a love for storytelling, and Jake Wilson, a creative educator and podcasting geek who believes learning should always be fun. Today's episode is all about why learning English through books is effective. Grab your coffee, plug in your headphones, and get ready for some real talk on how books can totally transform your English learning journey.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something I think a lot of you learning English grapple with. How do you really internalize the language, make it feel, natural? We're going to explore how just maybe reading books could be this kind of powerful, almost surprising shortcut to mastering English. This deep dive is really designed to get you up to speed fast on this specific subject. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or pretty advanced. Our mission today, let's unpack the sort of timeless, maybe underestimated power of books as a tool for learning language.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about learning lists of words here. It's more about how reading can, almost rewire your brain for English. We'll get into the science, the practical upsides, and some real strategies you can use. Reading really is profound, and hopefully you'll have some real aha moments about language learning itself.
Okay, let's start right there then. We always hear reading is good for you, sure, but what's the actual science? Why is it so good specifically for learning a language?
Yeah, it's genuinely fascinating. When you read, your brain lights up differently than when you're just, say, listening passively or drilling words. It really engages multiple areas at once: memory, imagination, and crucially, deep language comprehension. It kind of forces you to slow down a bit, process things, make connections. What's really key, I think, is how reading helps build these mental models. Think of them as frameworks in your brain for how English actually works. So instead of just grabbing isolated facts, your brain is subconsciously piecing together this robust map of the language structure. It's a much deeper way to learn. It's like, taking your language muscle to the gym, working vocabulary, sentence structure, the natural rhythm, all at the same time.
That makes a lot of sense. So one of the biggest roadblocks, I think, for many learners is vocabulary. I know I've struggled with that in other languages. How do books help with vocab differently, maybe better than something like flashcards?
Right. The big difference is context. That's the magic word here. Books show you words in their natural environment, not isolated on a card. So instead of just, memorizing reluctant means unwillingly, you read a sentence like, she reluctantly opened the letter. And you get the meaning, sure, but also the feeling, the situation around it. It sticks better. In fiction, fiction is just a gold mine for this kind of thing. You find all the expressive language idioms, like bite the bullet, phrasal verbs like figure out, even slang that makes speech sound real. Textbooks often struggle with that richness. It's about building these semantic networks in your brain, linking words to ideas and feelings, not just definitions.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me and probably for a lot of listeners. Grammar. People often dread grammar rules. They feel so dry. Can books really teach you grammar without that boring memorization?
Oh, absolutely. And this is, I think, one of the most powerful aspects of reading. When you read consistently, your brain just starts absorbing the patterns naturally, subliminally almost. You begin to notice, maybe without even thinking about it, how certain structures work, like the past perfect tense, understanding she had left when I arrived, shows one past action finished before another. You see it used correctly again and again in different situations.
Yeah.
It's very similar to how kids pick up their first language.
Right.
They don't sit down with grammar books. They just hear it, internalize the patterns through exposure. So grammar starts to feel intuitive, just part of the language flow, not some abstract set of rules you have to recite. You're basically letting your brain's natural pattern recognition ability do the heavy lifting.
Moving beyond just the mechanics, the words, and grammar, what about culture? Understanding the people behind the language. Do books offer that connection too?
Oh, definitely. Books are such an invaluable window into culture. They offer this deep dive into how people in English-speaking places actually think, how they express emotions, what's considered polite, what's not. It's like getting a glimpse inside their world.
Right.
So, for instance, you could read a Jane Austen novel and get a real feel for British social norms from, a couple centuries ago.
Right.
Or pick up something contemporary, like maybe The Hate U Give, and you're immersed in modern American dialogue, social context, cultural references. It's casual, emotional, full of current idioms.
Yeah, that real-world feel.
Exactly. That kind of authentic, nuanced English steeped in its cultural context. Well, it's incredibly hard for a standard textbook to replicate that.
Okay, something else. In today's world, it feels like everyone's attention span is shrinking, constantly scrolling, multitasking. Does reading actually help with focus? And how does that maybe link to building confidence when you're learning?
That's a really crucial point for learning anything today, I think. Reading a book, unlike scrolling, forces you to slow down, to concentrate, sustain your attention. And that sustained focus is absolutely vital for deep learning, especially language. It lets your brain actually process and store the information properly. Over time, doing this regularly improves not just your focus, but your reading speed, your comprehension, how much you remember. And yes, absolutely, it builds confidence massively.
Yeah.
Think about it. You start recognizing words or phrases you read when you hear them in conversations or watch a show. That little moment of, hey, I know that phrase, I just read that.
Yeah.
It's a huge boost. It tells you, this is working. I'm actually learning. It really validates the effort.
Okay, I'm sold. So for anyone listening who wants to jump in, what kinds of books are we talking about? Where should someone start depending on their level?
Good question. Very practical. So if you're a beginner, definitely look for graded readers. These are books specifically written with simpler vocabulary and sentence structures, matched to different learning levels. They let you build momentum without feeling totally lost.
Okay, graded readers.
Yeah. Then, for intermediate learners, you can really start having fun. Think popular young adult novels, Harry Potter, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Hunger Games. The language is richer, but still accessible, and the stories are usually engaging.
Right, things people might already know the story of even.
Exactly, that can help too. And for advanced learners, well, the world's your oyster, really. Classic literature, thoughtful essays, challenging nonfiction like Atomic Habits or maybe Think and Grow Rich. They offer real depth, complex ideas, specialized vocabulary. And hey, don't forget graphic novels or audiobooks paired with the text. Those are fantastic tools for any level, adding visual or audio support.
Great suggestions. So we know what to read now. Are there any tips, any strategies to make the reading itself even more effective for learning English?
Yeah, definitely a few things you can do to really maximize the benefits. First, have a dictionary nearby, digital or paper, doesn't matter. But, and this is important, try to guess the meaning from the context first, before you look it up. That guessing part really helps lock it in your memory.
Back to recall, right?
Exactly. Second, maybe highlight or jot down new words you encounter. Keep a little notebook or a digital list. Review it now and now. Third, try reading out loud sometimes. It feels weird at first maybe, but it seriously helps with pronunciation, getting the rhythm and intonation right.
Okay.
Fourth, mix it up. Don't just read one type of thing. Read fiction for fun and flow, nonfiction for new ideas and vocabulary, maybe news articles to stay current. Variety keeps it interesting. And finally, probably the biggest thing, consistency. Just try for, say, 15 minutes a day, every day if you can. It really adds up. That consistent exposure is key.
I love those practical tips. We always like hearing about real people, real success stories. Do you have one that kind of brings this whole idea to life? Someone who really used books to learn English?
Oh, absolutely. We heard from a listener, Raj, from India. He started his English journey when he was about 15. And guess what he started with? Comic books.
No way.
Yeah. And as he got more comfortable, he moved up to YA novels, then biographies, then more complex stuff. And now he gives presentations at his job confidently, all in English. And he absolutely credits reading as his, secret weapon.
Yeah.
His advice really stuck with me. He said, fall in love with stories and English will follow.
Wow. Fall in love with stories and English will follow. I love that. So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening? Learning English by reading books, it seems, isn't just another method. It's, powerful, it's natural, immersive, maybe even enjoyable. It trains your brain differently. So if you haven't picked up a book in English recently, maybe make that a goal for this week. Start small, like you said, stay consistent, and try to actually enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe this leaves you with a final thought to chew on. In this age of constant, quick information snacks, how might the simple, deliberate act of turning a page, really focusing on a text, how might that actually revolutionize not just your English skills, but maybe even how you think and learn overall? Just remember, every single page you turn is genuinely a step closer to fluency and maybe, just maybe, a richer way of seeing the world.